Well, hello, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Our next trolley stop is here, and our next trolley stop is now, and boy, is it merry and bright. Welcome to a very special edition of the Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight Series. To be precise, we have reached the final trolley stop of 2021, episode number 137. The Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight Series Christmas Special. Yay! My name is John Masiulionis, the manager here at Empowered Publicity. Thank you so much for spending some time with us wherever you are and wherever you may be. We hope that you and yours, your kith and kin, say that 10 times fast, are enjoying the holiday season. This is one of our most magical trolley stops that we have each and every year. And we are super excited here this week because of many reasons. One, because literally Christmas is just a couple of days away. The energies of 2022 are being felt now, and very soon we turn the calendar to the brand new year from 2021 to 2022. Say that 10 times fast as well too. But especially around the holidays, one of the things that I really love, there's always magic in the air at Christmas time and the holidays as well. This really is a time of the year when dreams can come true, when your wishes can become fulfilled. And it's also a time where parents are able to spend quality time with their families. And when we think of the bonds that we have, there's the different bonds. There's the bond between mother and daughter. There's the bond between mother and son. There's the bond between father and son, and then there's the bond between fathers and daughters. And it truly is one of the most special things in the world. And when you can combine the both of those, something truly special is created. And we are super excited, as you can tell, right? One of the most beautiful books that has come out in the kidlit community, not only in 2021, not only in the course of the past 7 years, we've been blessed to connect with all of you, our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course, our fellow shining stars, but one of the best children's books that has ever been written. We're going to be talking about here today, the focal point of episode number 137 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series as part of our Children's Book Spotlight Series Christmas special. You can head on over to the official website of our featured guest here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series, Anitra Rowe Schulte.com. And of course, we're going to provide you with the links all below, the social media platforms for Anitra in the process. You can head on over to Amazon.com if that is your preferred online vehicle of choice, and you can purchase your brand new copy of Dancing with Daddy. And yes, we're going to be, there's a special surprise. We love surprises. We love giving gifts here at the holiday season at the Children's Book Spotlight Series. And Anitra's going to be getting a special gift towards the end of our trolley stop. So let's put a pin in that. But of course, we have to begin the interview and continue on things moving forward from here. So Anitra, we appreciate you spending some time with us here, joining us as our featured guest on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. Thank you for spending some time with us here in our neighborhood. And I'm just so excited for you. Congratulations on the release of Dancing with Daddy.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. The book just was born. I just had my book birthday yesterday. So it's exciting to kick off like this holiday month, December 1st. To have this as my book birthday month is so exciting.
Yes, and this is, I just can't wait to dive into the pages and share with you and talk with you about your story and connect with all of our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and our fellow shining stars across the country and around the world. Of course, the trolley, people know here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series, the trolley goes everywhere. The trolley likes to rack up miles around the holidays. So we're, of course, here out in San Diego. Where are you joining us this week?
We are coming from Geneva, Illinois. So you think city of Chicago, come out about 30 miles to where the cornfields end, or begin, I should say, kind of at the edge there. That's where we are.
Okay, wonderful. So for those of you who are following at home, that the trolley is going from San Diego to Geneva, Illinois. If these messages that we are already sharing, if the holiday season is something that is very much needed through this particular point in time, if you are looking to create an even more special bond with your little one, especially if you're a father and you're looking to be able to connect with your daughter in a more heartfelt fashion this holiday season and beyond, if you're saying, John and Anitra, I could really use a miracle right now. I would really love for my wish, my dream to come true. If these messages that we're already talking about are inspiring you, as is the messages found within Dancing with Daddy, you can subscribe to Empowered Publicity's official YouTube channel if you haven't had the chance to already do so, and share this very special trolley stop. That is episode number 137 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, our Christmas special. I am so glad as well because Laura Renaud has highly recommended your book as well too. She's one of our favorite neighbors in the process. For those who are learning about you and your journey to the creation of Dancing with Daddy, we always like to be able to start the Children's Book Spotlight Series talking about, for an author to share their origin story, so to speak. For some authors, it's a matter of, your earliest memory is, getting one of those little composition notebooks and writing your own stories, right? For some authors, it's a matter of, an experience or a series of experiences over time in which they realize, I'm here to do work for the children. I'm here to be able to write at least one book, if not multiple books. Could you share this a little bit about your origin story and how you became inspired to do all of this work for the children and eventually to create Dancing with Daddy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I was one of those kids who just loved having a fresh notebook, fresh crayon box, and just sitting down in my room and creating. I would spend hours and hours doing that. And when I was in kindergarten, the grade school that I went to, which was across the street from my house, they started something called a Young Authors Club. So I was kind of in the inaugural class. So I was in kindergarten. It went all the way up through 6th grade. So I joined that group, and it was a weekly meeting where you just would sit down with your pencil and your paper and take a story from conception through to being an actual book. So you bring your materials home, work on them, workshop it at home, and then bring it back to the class. So I honestly was hooked from that moment. I remember the first story that I ever wrote, which was about a water fountain that different flavors of soda would come out of it. The idea of drawing a picture to pair with words and making something really magical come through and putting a piece of your story and your heart into it, I connected with that idea right away. And my mother's a 1st grade teacher and reading specialist. So she was very much a partner in that for me. Before I could actually write the words, I would dictate those to her. She would write them down and we would collaborate on that. So I enjoyed that club so much. I participated in all of the weekly meetings, and in my 3rd grade year, through participation in that club, I wrote a story that actually earned me the honor to go to an Illinois writing conference that was just for kids. It was called the Illinois Young Authors meeting. So I think that honor, like getting the honor of going, representing my school, having my work chosen, it took something that was already a passion and showed me that other people saw some value in it. And that was really meaningful. And I think it's funny that I saved the shirt. So I'll show you, John. This was the shirt that I got. And of course I was swimming in it at the time. But now it fits. I think it's a metaphor. It's like over time you grow into your craft, but I think that spark is often with us as kids if we listen to it and pay attention to it. The thing that we're sort of meant to do, the thing that brings us the most joy, and that the hours melt away when you're doing it. For me, that was always writing. So I knew always that I wanted to be a writer. And I think in high school is when I started to think, well, practically speaking, though, if I would like to be paid for this, what would be a good avenue to take? So at that point, I started looking into journalism. And so I pursued magazine sequence journalism actually in school. And then my first job was in a newspaper. So I worked for the Kansas City Star covering government and features and hard news and crime and all that stuff. And so that way I could practice my craft of writing every day. And so I continued on the media side, like, as a reporter for 5 years. And that ultimately led to a position where I was more of an internal communication, pitching to broadcast in Chicago. So I worked as a staff writer for Chicago Public Schools. So we would go into the schools, meet the kids, meet the principals, talk to district administrators. What's the story that we want to tell? Because in Chicago, you have a lot of other stories being told about your students and stories that you cannot shape and be a part of, telling the good stories. So that was super fulfilling to me. So that was kind of where I feel like the idea of storytelling really converged with kids stories for me. Because I really loved, I love going into the schools and meeting the kids and their energy and so many positive things going on that were not always seen in the news. So that was really fun for me. And then that sort of segued into different kind of storytelling for more from a corporate perspective. So I would work with like Ronald McDonald House Charities, doing their public relations and doing things from media material preparation as well as event planning. And all the while I start to think it's time to start our family. And so that's when picture books kind of came full circle and back into our world again. And I fell in love with them all over again. It's just like that cycle just came right back. And that's when I started exploring the idea of telling my own stories.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And when you shared what you shared, it's a lot of sharing. It's fascinating how things come full circle in life. So I know that, growing up, I wanted to be a sportscaster. I wanted to be the next Chris Berman on ESPN. I always like to think that God had a little bit of a different plan. I began a near 30-year love affair with the world of professional wrestling and sports entertainments like Vince McMahon's WWE. That began in like 1989. I ended up doing a wrestling radio show, very popular, that I hosted for over a decade. And I look at like how life came full circle. I even worked in the collections industry for 10 years as well too. So it's a matter of like those experiences, they always further you along in life. They allow you to be able to step into a higher and greater version of yourself, more in your heart, more being of service as well too. Like even when I'd worked in collections, one of the things that I'm very blessed for that is that it taught me the importance of being more compassionate and empathic and understanding. And when I started doing the wrestling radio show, like there wasn't any social media, there was no Facebook, Twitter, nothing along the lines of that. And it was a matter of just like the grassroots, you tell a story, you tell a story, you get it out there kind of thing. So I just share that because, it's very easy for some people to be moving through a part of their life and think that it's wasted experience. Or that like, why is this happening at this particular point in time? I always love when there is a real life inspiration in bringing a book to form and shape, especially a children's picture book. And you are the proud mom of 3 beautiful girls, and one of your daughters has Wolf-Hirschhorn Syndrome. Now, for those who have had the opportunities to read Dancing with Daddy, they probably have a little bit of a better idea and understanding of it. For those that are reading your book or who are learning about your book for the first time through this episode of the Children's Book Spotlight series, could you share with us about your daughter's courageous journey to this particular point in time, as well as what Wolf-Hirschhorn Syndrome is and why because sometimes anytime that your son, your daughter goes through something very challenging in life, to be able to kind of put it out there, it's kind of like a little slippery slope. Do I share this? Do I put this out there? Or no, do I really want to be able to inspire more kids that maybe who are going through that or who are going through something similar? So could you talk to us about the whole process of when your daughter was first born and how this whole journey that she was on helped to be able to inspire and fuel the creation of Dancing with Daddy?
Sure. Yeah. In terms of starting with that idea of the slippery slope, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and that's true. I personally, though, don't have a clue how I feel about anything until I write about it. So, like the idea of writing about our experience as a family to help myself better understand it and to work our way through it was from day one. I mean, I think I was journaling about it, and when I discovered there is a website / blog for Wolf-Hirschhorn called wolf-hirschhorn.org. When I discovered that and I saw the posts from other people sharing, it's kind of like a support group. So like sharing, this is my daughter, he or she is amazing, and this is what we're doing. We've had these really tough challenges. This is how we navigated through it. So those gave me and gave my husband and my whole extended family so much comfort and gave us the ability to navigate stuff. So I saw immediately that sharing was a very good thing, because otherwise you can feel kind of isolated. Now, in my immediate family and in my friend group, I'm the only one that I know of that has a disabled child or a child with a chromosomal abnormality. So I needed community. And I think you have to, like for me, not everyone has to, but for me to really, I have to connect to in order to walk through life. So it was a pretty quick connection for me. So Wolf-Hirschhorn is very rare. It's 1 in 50,000 births. So of that group of people who have this deletion, it's off the short arm of the 4th chromosome. So it's also called 4p minus. So people who have that particular deletion, the size of the deletion can vary greatly. So some people have a little bit missing from that short arm. Some people have a lot. That can play a role in how your disability is reflected, what kind of delays you have, what kind of features you have, what kind of organ challenges that you have. So while I don't know my daughter's precise deletion size, I always decided not to find that out. I do know that she's kind of sort of middle of the road in terms of the sort of her needs. So we found out that she had the chromosome deletion right shortly after she was born. So when I carried her to term, but when she was born, she was 4 pounds, 15 ounces. So really little for being a 40-week-old baby. So they kind of suspected right away that there might be a deletion, but prior to that time, I didn't know anything. So on her 8th day that she, 8th day of life, the results came back, and we were, of course, had sort of the wind knocked out of us because we're first-time parents. She's our oldest. In the story, Dancing with Daddy, she's the youngest, but in reality, she was our first child. Mm-hmm. So we are new parents. We don't know anything. And then on top of that, we're really dealing with a difficult diagnosis. So we went to Children's Hospital, got the full battery of everything that's going on in terms of, we found that she had a heart defect. We knew immediately that she was going to have eating challenges, feeding challenges. A lot of her other organs were okay. She has a hearing deficit, vision issues. So we kind of just got the full picture. Once we kind of got our feet underneath us, and we knew it was really pretty much just trekking through it and, figuring it out thing by thing. So, she's doing really well. She's able to do so much, and we are able to know what she needs through her various communication tools that she uses. I think sky's the limit for her. I'm just really excited for everything that's in store for her. I think the thing that I've been wanting most of all is to find a way to sort of bridge a distance that I can perceive in my community and in my world with where she's coming from, and with her peers. So I always take full advantage of any opportunity that I have. If there's a program that helps foster relationships between all kids of all abilities, we are there. And so I was falling in love with picture books around the time that Elsa was born, reading those to her. And it didn't organically come. I started writing picture books before it even remotely occurred to me to write a story like Dancing with Daddy. It did not. But I was blogging about it on my author website. So here I'm writing stories about bunnies and cute characters. And meanwhile, I'm blogging, pouring my heart out over here on a blog. Mm-hmm. So one of my author friends who I had reviewed her book on my blog, she posted in the comments, keep telling your story. And that really a light bulb went off for me, that there's a story that I'm not telling here that's closer to my heart, that's it is my story, it's my family's story. So that's when things kind of really came together for me. And the story Dancing with Daddy, I really just wanted to see our family on the page, truthfully, in a completely selfish way. We go to the library at least once a week, coming home with these huge library hauls, 10 to 15 books, and going through them, and never once did I see a family that looked like my family. And I wanted that for my kids. I wanted that for myself. And so Dancing with Daddy is definitely, I'm so pleased with it. I'm so hopeful that families that look like my family and that are like my family feel seen when they read the book.
There are so many reasons why I love this book. One of which is that, especially if there is, because during the holiday season alone, right, it can bring up a lot of stressors, worries, fears, traumas, anxieties, you name it, and then some, right? And one of the biggest fears and worries that a parent has is, if my little one is going through an illness, sickness, disease, she's moving through something, emotional, physical challenge, can she get through it? Can he get through it? Will they be able to get on the other side of that? Or if there's a little one that's coming into the world, is my little one going to have, okay health? Those are some of the biggest things that are on the minds and hearts of parents. And just to be able to provide, one of the things that I really also enjoy about your book is that really it provides a lot of comfort while simultaneously providing a lot of magic, that, you know, just because this is a certain hand that you're dealt, quote unquote, so to speak, which is another expression that's always used, is that, you know, good can come through that and dreams can come true. And we're about ready to dive into the pages momentarily of Daddy. For those of you, again, who are spending your holidays with us, we really appreciate it. Joining us is our featured guest here, the author of the brand new children's book, Dancing with Daddy, Anitra Rowe Schulte. You can head on over to her official website, which is herfullname.com. I always wanted to know if there's, like, you know, whenever someone asks me, John, what's your full email address, right? And, like, you know, my own personal email address is my first name, my last name @gmail.com, right? So, like, I just would always wonder if, like, someone would actually have that as their website, like first name, last name.com, right? But that is Anitra's website. If Amazon is your preferred online vehicle of choice, if you haven't had the chance to purchase your copy of Dancing with Daddy, please feel free to do so and leave a 5-star review. That is one of the many ways that you can support her and let her know that she's doing such wonderful, much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books across the country and around the world. The cover, once I first saw the cover, like, I'm not a fan of Dancing with the Stars, but, like, when that like the intro of the show, it's so magical. There's this, you know, golden, silver, sparkly kind of energy. So, like, I kind of, like, that was like my first gravitation to it. But you know, Elsie is the main character, and she has what could seem like a very simple wish, which is to be able to spend time with her father in a very specific way, and that's going to their first father-daughter dance. That is something that really means a lot for a little girl growing up. And you obviously can share your story without giving away the whole kit and caboodle, as we like to say, Children's Spotlight series. Could you walk us through and share with us the journey that Elsie goes through, and any of the specific messages that you feel really resonate with you, whether it be leading into the holidays, leading into the brand new year, that you really feel that parents will be able to take away from this book, as well as little ones who are enjoying it as well too in the process?
Sure. So I should say too that this story was inspired by the night my husband did take all 3 of our girls to the daddy-daughter dance. So he was about, like, it was on the books a couple of weeks before the event itself. My mind was like going, whoa, we usually go as a whole group to something this involved. like what is even going to happen? Like, I can think about I could picture so clearly all the little steps along the way. So I think you're totally right. This is a special night. My daughters look forward to this night with their dad so much. I mean, you get very fancy, go have a special meal together. When you get there, the atmosphere is just so big and fun, and you see your friends, and there's cake, and I mean, I just knew I could feel all of that for them, and I was a little jealous maybe, and so creating this story that kind of reflected that on the page. But it was I was very acutely aware that my daughter would be experiencing the event slightly differently, and also that there would be unique opportunities for her to share what she was feeling along the way. So in terms of walking through the book, those are exactly the moments that I wanted to spotlight. So my daughter uses a couple different communication tools, but in addition to that, her gestures and her facial expressions are super meaningful. And so when she wants something, she grabs it. So whenever she's choosing her dress in the story, she's looking between 2 dresses. This is very similar to something we would do as a family. I give her 2 options when we go shopping, and then she will grab what she wants, and that is communication, friends. And she's showing me exactly what she wants, and so I think a lot of times folks maybe don't understand the different kinds of nonverbal communication, but that is a clear choice. And I also wanted to show that especially in the Midwest. Now, John, I know you're based in California, so you might not relate to this, but the snow is a constant worry for us. And it boils our plants all the time.
Up until last year, I lived in Buffalo, New York my whole entire life. So this is the closest that I'd like to get to snow Again, unless I have a calling to go to the mountains in San Diego, and there is snow, at different points in time during the winter time. But go ahead, please continue.
Yeah. Well, snow, and to your point, snow is something that can really foil things. And our father-daughter dance in my area is every February. It's right around 4th of July. Or 4th of July. I meant to say Valentine's Day. Right around Valentine's Day, and snow is a real concern. So anyway, I just wanted to capture all those little moments, the family life stuff. Like when I mentioned, I'm just really seeing the family on the page, like being bombarded by your sisters when you're just trying to walk through the door, expressing to your dad how that you picked out something very special, using your own communication tools. So these are things that all kids would do. They would want to show their dress. They would want to tell what they liked about it, what they thought about it. But of course, for my daughter, or for kids with Wolf-Hirschhorn, they're going to do that differently. And I really wanted my daughter to see herself making those choices and showing her experience on the page. They also are having dinner. Again, it's a family moment. We see eating dinner scenes all the time in picture books, but I've never seen a child getting fed through a G-tube, and this is our life. This is something that a lot of kids are unfamiliar with. And in fact, whenever we're out in our community and I give my daughter a feed while we're out in the community, people are always staring and wondering what in the world that is. Well, it's just because of the lack of exposure. It was really important to me for people to see it and understand that that's food. And she's feeling very full in this moment, and feeling the contentment that you feel when you're sitting at home eating with your family. So just, yes, kind of marching through. She's excited for the dance, and this is the illustrator Ziyu Chen. This is her favorite spread. Here where she's having her dream, just like with the visions of and you mentioned that holiday tie, visions of sugar plums dancing in your head. This is kind of one of those moments. She's reading the Nutcracker, her favorite story, which is my daughter's favorite story actually, and having these visions of dancing. So those dreamy moments that we have that seem extra sparkly this time of year with the snow coming down outside, that's very much, the tone and the feeling of this story. And then wondering if she's going to get that moment. She finds out the dances ago. This is another favorite spread for me. Because again, this is the dynamic in my house. We're like, everybody's dancing all over the place all the time. After dinner at my house, everybody's just making up dance routines and jamming to the music. So I just felt like Ziyu really captured that moment of anticipation and all the sparkle very, very well. And they make it to the dance, but things don't go quite as planned as we go. This is another reflection of our life. So when you've got snow and you've got a wheelchair, there's troubles. There's always troubles. The parking lots are never paved quite right. And so some things, everybody else is already inside dancing, and we're working on it. I mean, that's very true to life for us. And again, just showing the communication, something is wrong. She's missing her bow, and a gesture that indicates that to her dad. So I think that's yet another way of kind of communication for Elsie in this story. And then into the gym they go with the bow in place to have a sparkly night under the lights. And this community feeling, being together, having a special night together, I think also connects with the holidays and those holiday parties that we might be able to do this year finally, in 2021. And then getting to that special moment with Daddy. And in my family, my daughter expresses her love when she comes forehead to forehead and presses her forehead against yours. And I'm sure that's for kids who use communication devices and not. That's just a universal expression of love that I was really overjoyed to see how that was reflected on the page. And no holiday or treat is complete without a little frosting on your face. And Elsie gets a chance to taste her frosting, the thing that she was looking forward to. And for kids who use a feeding tube, while they might have difficulty swallowing, tastes are something that often a lot of kids really enjoy. Even though managing the volume in the mouth can be difficult, the tasting is still pleasurable. So to kind of show kids that that's the case, because I think there's some misconceptions about that. So yeah, those are some of the beautiful moments. Ziyu Chen just made it absolutely sparkle. I mean, it's hard to even express. Like when you hold the actual physical book in hand, it's even more beautiful in person. So I do hope that everybody gets a chance to see it or request at their library, because I think that they'll get the chance to experience that too.
Thank you for sharing all of this. Your illustrator ZU has done an impeccable job, and most listeners of the Children's Book Spotlight, most of our viewers know this, is that when your book is traditionally published, it's not like you're besties with your illustrator chit-chatting every day and, hey, do you get the latest spread done? And, you know, all of this. It's really putting your faith and your trust that the person that is illustrating your book is like your fourth eye, your third arm, your second heart kind of thing. If you could talk to us a bit as well about working with ZU and being able to see everything take the form and shape, and the fact, because, you know, I can just imagine, like, this story means a lot to you because it was inspired by your daughter, and, you know, there's that inner perfectionist in us that wants everything to come out just right, just perfect. So you know, what were the emotions that you were experiencing from, like, when you knew, like, okay, this book is going to be out and it's going to be published, and, like, from when you kind of first knew that was going to happen to when, like, you held it in your hand and you saw the final copy, or you saw the full digital version of the book from cover to cover? What were some of the emotions that you were experiencing along the way?
Oh my gosh, well, when I saw ZUair's portfolio, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. There was there were a couple of moments within her artwork that's online, a real tenderness between a parent and a child, and just glowing art. So, and I love the way that she creates digitally. Things just are so alive. And so when I knew that she was going to be the one to do it, I was elated. And so I got to see a lot of art, actually, as this book progressed, because of the nature of all the equipment, and wanting 2 lions is amazing, and they wanted everything to be 100% accurate. So at the outset of our project, I shared a ton of reference photos. So ZUair wanted my daughter in her wheelchair at 12 different angles. Like, I had a list of different shots, because as you'll notice throughout this whole book, the perspective of Elsie changes, and that's what makes it so dimensional and alive. Sometimes you're looking at her head on, sometimes you're at a profile or a slight angle. So those are all tied back to actual photographs that I provided through my publisher to her, and all the way down to the orthotics that she's wearing on her feet. I took front on, outset, inset of her shoe to make sure that the representation was spot on. So, and then I also saw a lot of art along the way too, to make sure, so if I could catch something like, oh, actually, you know, that belt across her waist, it needs to be higher or lower, she wouldn't support her there. So, I mean, the fact that we had all that back and forth, I feel like the care and the love that went into it, it just blew me away. And then there were tons of surprises along the way too. You mentioned just like that feeling when I lifted up this case cover, and I think that the copy you have too reflected like a different alternate cover underneath. That knocked my socks off. When I saw like these beautiful end papers, which were a complete surprise, that I had no idea. And I think one of the things I found most touching when I received my digital copy initially was to see that the words that Elsie chooses are in a separate color. So her language isn't verbal in these moments, but we're pulled close to her in this intimate way with the font that is her chosen word, her thought is offset by a different color font. What a brilliant choice, and not something that I included in an art note or anything like that. That was entirely 2 lions. So I was mostly 100% overwhelmed by everything. and truthfully, perhaps even more so, that this family, you know, does not look exactly like mine. And I love that so much, because it makes me feel as an adult, and I know that children would feel this too, that there's another family out there that's not me, that's like mine. And it's like, it actually made me feel like there was a community of families, and that's the way it hit my heart. And now I feel like I know each of these little characters, even though they're inspired by my family. I feel like there's a whole nother family living out there that's just like mine, which really is powerful.
some of the little things as well, and I really appreciate you sharing that as well too. Some of the just like the little things you were talking about in the book, like Elsie's father. One of my favorite words of all time is the word haberdasher. It's like a turn of the century kind of word, and he comes in wearing this like amazing, suit on his end of things for this dance, and it's like, who's the name of Elsie's father's haberdasher, right? He just dressed to the nines.
Yeah, he's looking good.
He's having such a great time with his daughter. And again, I think that this book is very much needed right now. We've seen, over the course of these past 2 years, whether it be anything COVID related, politics, police brutality, and then before that, there's the traditional like fires, floods, earthquakes, mudslides,
right.
all of that stuff. When you see anything online, social media, on television, a lot of it is fear-based. A lot of it is strong and dense. And I really feel that children's books provide a lot of comfort and healing. And if you can kind of speak to that, if you could, your book, Dancing with Daddy, and how you feel that it is helping to bring in comfort and love and joy and healing into the minds and hearts of children, parents, and families. How do you feel that your book does that?
Well, I hope that it could do any of those things. And I feel like as I'm starting to see reviews come through, I do feel like it's hitting people at a really sweet spot, and that makes me so happy. I mean, I am writing this from a very personal place. This is 100% my family on the page in every single respect, and yet I've had other friends that have daughters, other fathers that have daughters who've read this and gotten very emotional about it. Their daughter might not have Wolf-Hirschhorn or similar syndrome, but that same intimacy that you have towards your child and sharing these special moments is universal. And I think that is the key to a lot of what you were discussing about picture books and why they are powerful and therapeutic, and they really carry you through experiences, because there's the picture books that I gravitate toward that are my favorite are tapping into something that's universal and big and that connects us. And that is 100% what I attempt to do in all the things that I write. I think when I am blogging about my family or writing an essay or writing a picture book manuscript, I'm looking for that thing that connects me to someone else. And I think that you talked about some of the things that are going on culturally that are so divisive. And I think that there's so much constantly reminding us of what we don't have in common with someone else and why we should separate ourselves from that. And that distance is the best thing to stay comfortable, right? But I think that in truth, like finding those things that link us together is we have so much more in common than we don't. And so it's my hope that people who have any of the common threads that lean through the story, and I think there are so many, those special moments with a parent, or with siblings, or with your mom, or sharing time with others outside of your home in this feeling of community. I think that those are things that connect us, and I think that you can feel that in your heart when you are experiencing something that's universal and that ties you to others.
Very much so. We're beginning to wind down our time here. There's still more magic and miracles here on the Important Publicity Children's Book Spotlight Series Christmas Special. That is episode number 137. I will share, Anitra, being a child of the 80s, I don't necessarily know if you remember the Pee-wee's Christmas Special from the late 90s.
I should. I'm sure I watched it.
I share this because he had this real cheesy introduction, hit all these celebrities that joined him for his show. So it was like Frankie Avalon, Annette Funicello, Charo, Dinah Shore, Whoopi Goldberg, Katie Lang, and then everyone within the playoffs. But it was this over the top kind of joining us for our Christmas special is as follows. So I just always I always kind of wanted to kind of have that vibe kind of carry over in some of the energy of that into the Children's Book Spotlight Series. Again, we are joined by Anitra Rowe Schulte. You can head on over to her official website, her first name, her last name, her full name.com. And you can also stay connected with her on social media. We've included her Twitter page and her Instagram page, their social media platforms in the links below so that you can continue this wonderful conversation. Post Children's Book Spotlight Series, if Amazon is your preferred online vehicle of choice. Again, we are sharing her brand new children's book, one of the very best of 2021 and before, included that as well too, through Two Lions Publishing, Dancing with Daddy. And if Amazon is your preferred online vehicle of choice, you can leave a 5-star review. We encourage you to do that if you feel guided to do so. That's one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Anitra and remind her and her family that she is doing wonderful work, much needed for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books. The two things that come to mind in this book are dreaming and dancing. And I feel that, life can be heavy. We've just talked about it. Like over these past 2 years, it's been heavy. Like I can kind of channel my inner Marty McFly from Back to the Future. Like, whoa, Doc, that's heavy, right? And just the lightness. I think in life, we also make things way too complicated. We overanalyze things, and the simplest things in life really mean the most. So on the themes, especially with reminding our children, talking to them about that, experiencing it with them, allowing them to be able to enjoy those two things, and us as big kids too, right? Because again, we've got this laundry list of things to do, pay the bills, pay the taxes, take care of the kids, walk the dog, cook the dinner, and then we might have like an hour of room for self-love and self-care for ourselves every day. Could you share with us about why you feel that dreaming and dancing are really not just important, but why they're really essential? They're really, building blocks for us during the holiday season and beyond as we move into the new year for our children as well as for us as adults too.
I feel like if you were to choose two words that are closer to my heart, I don't think you could get closer than dream and dancing. I alluded to it before, but music is a constant fixture in our house. I have a piano about 3 feet away from me over here. We're constantly playing music and dancing. And the fact that my very first picture book is about dancing is actually so perfect. There is something that happens when you just turn the music on. Like in our house, if we can have, the mood could be low. Our record player though is not too far in this room right now. I was just spinning Christmas tunes before we started this. It adds a spirit to the air, and it can change the mood. It just can, it can transport you to a memory, to something maybe you even want to happen that hasn't happened yet, an idea. It can spark something inside of you. So I think that music and dancing are some of the most joyous moments in our family. When we go to weddings as a family and hit the dance floor and spin under the lights, that brings all of us joy, just feeling that. And so that it is conveyed in this story, and that Zior captured the light so beautifully. She really, really captured that. That means a lot to me. And in regards to dreams, my dream to be a children's author is about 35 years old. I have wanted to do it my entire life. I have manuscripts in every corner of this house, in boxes, the ones I wrote when I was a kid. I wrote stories, and then into poetry, back to I wrote a novella, plays, screenplays, and then for this moment to be happening, it is a dream that I've carried my whole life, and I just kind of kept pursuing it, and kids watching, parents watching too. I really do believe if you want something, pursue it with abandon. Like, there's nothing to stop you. Other people will see your passion, and they want to come alongside of you to support you in helping it to come. So if you have a dream this Christmas or any time, don't let go of it. I mean, it does take passion and persistence. This publishing journey is about 5 years in the making, and it's not for the faint of heart. But I think that when you throw yourself into learning and understanding it, you're gaining so much along the way. Stuff that's going to serve your stories that you don't even know about. I just became like a student of the book and the craft and the form, and it never felt like work. I feel like when you're working toward a dream, it doesn't feel like work. There's nothing laborious about it. It brings you joy, and that joy is infectious, and you should spread it.
Agreed. I agree. And in life, everything in life is a teacher. And I feel that everything in life has something to share with us. One of my favorite questions that I always share during the Children's Book Spotlight series is, what has your book taught you about yourself and life? And this is, again, it's a very powerful book. It's a very magical book. It's very much needed right now, as I've shared. What has Dancing with Daddy taught you about yourself and taught you about life?
Oh, goodness. I think that the response is what is teaching me something. I didn't know how needed and wanted and loved. This will make me cry, John. I didn't expect it to be embraced in this way. So maybe I didn't know I needed that love. Like, I didn't know that I needed our family's experience to be embraced so beautifully. Like, it really has caught me by surprise. And reading some of the reviews that I have seen online, people who are nurses, who are speech pathologists, who have a niece or a nephew. Like, there are so many people who are one step removed from my experience that still want to draw near it. So I guess I didn't know I had something to share that would be so valued by others, and so that has been a huge blessing. Definitely has exceeded my expectations. So it's taught me that I have a role as a teacher in some capacity. My mom's a teacher, my two sisters are teacher. I'm the only non-teacher in my house. But maybe I do have something to share and information to impart that can help draw people closer to each other. I'd love if it was drawing people closer to disabled individuals, to feel like they understand them better and can have a relationship and a friendship. So the way that it's being used right now is so beyond anything that I'm responsible for. I feel like there's a bigger purpose here that I'm in the background now. That work has been done.
You're very much, some people use the terminology that we're just vessels, so to speak, that we're custodians for these important messages that are moving through us to be shared with the world. And I'm super excited for you because your dreams are continuing to come true. In less than 1 year, your next children's book is going to be out. Willow and Bunny, which again, I just like the smallest things, like the name of a book, the name of a publishing company, like our friend Beaming Books, right? And Two Lions, right? Those are great names. Willow and Bunny. I'm super excited about that alone. And I think that, one of the things that has helped us over these past 2 years, and even for our lives to this point, is it's always important to have something to look forward to. For ourselves, for our children. Could you give us a little sneak peek? We like to have a little segment here called Coming Attractions every now and again on the Children's Book Spotlight series. Could you give us a little bit of a sneak peek on what children and those who love great children's books, children of all ages, will enjoy when they read Willow and Bunny?
Sure. Willow and Bunny is a story that came from a pretty personal place too. And in fact, I encourage people to lean into their own stories and the things that they're curious about, because I think that's where the great stories are. But I was really wanting to tell a story to my kids about when something unexpected happens in your community and you're kind of thrust into a new circumstance, how to walk through a period that might feel a little bit dark and scary with others. So that is the overarching, that's the underneath story that's within this story. It's about a little bunny who gets separated from his family and is sort of lost in the woods and is taken in by a tree. Who provides protection for the bunny. And then together they endure like an event that brings many, many creatures of the forest all into the same canopy, and the canopy of the tree. And so for me, I was looking for a way to tell a story how we can be all together in the same space, feeling scared, and walk through that together. So I'm hopeful that the woodland setting kind of softens that message a little bit. Do you know what I mean? The illustrator of this book, I must say, Christopher Denise, is an absolute treasure. People who are familiar with the Redwall series will know his characters and his work. And the initial artwork I've seen is incredible. So it will be a beautiful delight from just the pictures alone.
Sounds wonderful, and I'm looking forward to it. I know that many of our listeners and viewers are friends and neighbors, and of course our fellow Shining Stars will be looking forward to it as well. There's two ways that we close out the Children's Book Spotlight series, and as we had a little conversation in the Empowered Publicity group talking about one of our favorite neighbors, Mr. Rogers, and for many years in different ways on the neighborhood, as well as when he spoke across the country at colleges for commencement talks and different other sorts of chats that he had with people along the way. Most people will remember when he received his Lifetime Achievement Award at the Daytime Emmys. He encouraged, shortly before he passed, he encouraged all of us, and he always kept the time, Anitra, whether it be, 5 seconds or it's a little bit more than 5 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or a full minute, but he encouraged us to remember those who helped love us into being. And that was his way of saying to remember those people, I like to call them earth angels, that come across our path that, believed in us maybe than we more so believed in ourselves. People that, gave us a helping hand or a compassionate ear, a shoulder to cry on, that kind of thing. People that molded us and shaped us into becoming the highest and best versions of ourselves. Who would you like to publicly recognize here on our Christmas special here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series, episode number 137? Who are some of the people that help love you, Anitra Rowe Schulte, into being?
Oh my goodness, what a beautiful question. Well, my parents are about to show up, I would say in the next hour. They're visiting for the weekend, and absolutely they're the first and the most central people. Whenever I would write anything, like it could be just an essay for a class, they would put it out on the kitchen counter as if it was something of value, and they would leave it out there until everybody had a chance to read it, as if like seriously, it was just something I maybe just wrote sort of casually. They made me feel like my writing mattered, and it was something that was worth sharing. And without that, I'm certain that I would not be talking with you today. I also feel like I have had lots of different career experiences that have opened me up to new experiences. A mentor of mine, Kathleen Henson, I worked for her publicity firm. Through that opportunity, I got to meet people who were with the Children's Heart Foundation. I did public relations for them, so I learned about heart defects. I worked for a pediatrician who introduced me to my pediatrician for my daughter. I did PR for an audiology department. My daughter ended up needing hearing aids. There were so many, the opportunities for meeting people that she put out in front of me have kind of laid the foundation for my understanding of a lot of things that have become part of my everyday life as the parent of a child with different needs. So I would have to tip my hat to Kathleen as well, and to my kids for putting up with me and for my passion. They are so in my corner. They're cheering me on all the time. They are my best friends, truthfully, and I can't imagine life without those three.
It's well, this leads into the next thing, and you might need the tissues for this, but these will be toys. So we have a tip of the cap to Mr. Rogers, and we also, as one of my favorite Disney movies growing up, we always remember the now late Robin Williams, who played the genie of the lamp in the 1992 Disney animated classic Aladdin. And I really feel that all of us have the abilities, we have it within us to help bring to form and shape our heartfelt dreams, desires, goals, visions into reality for ourselves and for those that we love, we care about, we serve as well too. So we have a little segment called 3 Wishes. And if you're wondering, John, is this a genie lamp? It's tried and true. It carried me from Buffalo over to San Diego, and here we now stand leading into the Christmas holiday. You have given selflessly and freely to your family, to children, parents, families, educators in the Chicago area, across the country, around the world. You are helping people more than you know. So it's your time to receive, Anitra. You are being given 3 wishes. Now, they can be for yourself, they can be for the children of the world. There's that extra Christmas magic in the air, and you know what happens when you make a wish around Christmas. There's a pretty darn good tootin' chance that it's going to come true. So you're being gifted 3 wishes. What would they be?
Oh, goodness. Well, one thing came to mind right away. I really, really hope that kids who use Pod find this book. So there is the girl in the story uses the Pod book. So I hope that every child who actually uses Pod finds this story, because I feel like it will especially connect with them in their life. That is a huge wish of mine. I couldn't help but notice your coffee mug. I'll put another wish out there about Disney. We are going for the first time to Disney in March.
Are you going to Disney, are you going to Disneyland or Disney World?
World.
Okay, so you're going to Florida, not California.
Going to Florida, yeah.
Okay.
And I really, really wish that it is a beautiful experience for the girls. I really think we're like, did we hit this age just right? We have a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old. I think the magic.
Perfect. Yeah.
I think the magic is going to be just right. But I just pray that it is like a good experience for all. That every little step along the way, not too many hiccups. And then, oh my goodness, what else do I wish? Those are two ones that have been on my mind a lot. I mean, I just wish that my girls, that their dreams come true. Like, they don't always speak them out loud, and I don't always ask, but I wish that, like, my dream has come true. That's another little make me cry, but like, this is what I always dreamed, and I wish that they find a way through many decades and many opportunities to keep looking for those threads to pull that dream closer and closer. Because I believe the threads are there, but you just can't give up hope, and you just have to keep pulling.
I'm so excited for you now. I'm so excited for your trip to Disney. I'm so excited for you and where you're moving forward from here. And you may be more excited because one of the things that we have done now, this is the second year that we have done this, and this is a little sneak peek. This is technically not going to be released for several days, but each and every year, Empowered Publicity has the top empowering reads of insert your year here. So this is 2020. And these are all children's books. These are all middle grade books. Every single book that is available to a child that is out there, all the books that come out in 2021. So I am honored and privileged to share that Dancing with Daddy has been chosen as one of the top empowering reads for 2021. So
thank you so much. I know you read everything.
So you absolutely deserve this as well too. We encourage all of you, if you're watching this wonderful trolley stop once it premieres, the full list will be available on December the 27th. So 1 week from when this episode is being released. If you're watching us already in 2022, you can head on over to our official social media platforms, and the official Empowered Publicity website will carry all of that there for you in the process. But you are and will be in great company with several of your other fellow neighbors in the Kidlit community. So I'm so, again, honored to be able to have your book be on this list, because one of the things over the past 7 years that children, parents, educators, whenever they, and I really utilize my platform so much for the good, so that when those individuals come to me and say, like, which books do you endorse? Which books do you recommend? That it's really a quality read. It really is an empowering read in so many ways, shapes, and forms. So congratulations on that. Raise your hand if you have had fun on episode number 137 of the Empowered Publicity Children's Books. We've got one hand here, so many hands that we are seeing on screen. This has been such a magical series of trolley stops in 2021. Things are going to be looking even more exciting. They may look a little bit different beginning January the 1st. So we've got several wonderful magical things that we've been working on behind the scenes, which you, all of our friends and neighbors, our listeners and viewers, and of course our fellow shining stars, will be seeing as of January the 1st. So when you see our next trolley stop in the Children's Book Spotlight series, things are going to look a little bit more different, but they're going to be even more magical in the process. That's what we like to call a teaser, so to speak, in the process. If this message has inspired you, this entire trolley stop, episode number 137, our Children's Book Spotlight series Christmas special, and the message of Dancing with Daddy, Anitra's wonderful story, the courageous journey that her daughter has been on to inspire this beautiful brand new children's book, courtesy of our friends and neighbors at Two Lions Publishing. If you feel that this message needs to be shared with someone in need, all of this and then some, we encourage you, if you haven't had the chance to do so, to subscribe to Empowered Publicity's official YouTube channel, and to be able to share this very special trolley stop that has been episode number 137 of the Children's Book Spotlight series, our Christmas special, with your friends and your neighbors and your family on your favorite social media platforms of your choosing. We also want to be able to give 2 tips of the cap before we close the book on 2021 here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series. Well, before we give our 2 tips of the cap, if you are a children's author, if you are a children's illustrator and would love to share your inspiring story in the release of your brand new children's book here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series in 2022, we encourage you to head on over to our official website at empoweredpublicity.com or connect with us via any of our social media platforms that you now see on screen. Facebook and Instagram at Empowered Publicity and Twitter at Empowered_PR. We give 1 tip of the cap to one of our favorite neighbors. You remember him and you love him as the beloved Mr. McFeely. On Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, we know him and we love him as David Newell. For the past now 10 plus months, we have been enjoying the Neighborly Reviews bookcast together, which is where David and I, we join our hearts together and we deliver brand new heartfelt reviews from the latest brand new heartfelt children's books from our favorite shining stars in the kidlit community here at Empowered Publicity. If you are a children's author and would love for David and I to be able to share your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast, you know where to connect with us at empoweredpublicity.com or any of our social media platforms on screen. And also 1 tip of the cap to one of our favorite neighbors here in San Diego, California, Laura Kavanaugh, the host and executive producer of San Diego Living, the official home of Empowering Reads for Kids, the official television book review segment here at Empowered Publicity. Such a joy to be able to connect children's authors from all around the world, our shining stars here in the kidlit community and Empowered Publicity, with children, parents, families, and educators here in America's finest city, here in San Diego. If you would like to have Laura and I share your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of Empowering Reads for Kids on the CW San Diego CBS 8 here in San Diego, you can connect with us via our official website at empoweredpublicity.com or any of our social media platforms on screen. And then, of course, if you feel that we can be of service to you here at Empowered Publicity, here at PR from the Heart, you can schedule your courtesy discovery call by heading on over to our official website at empoweredpublicity.com. One final time, you can head on over to the official website of our featured guest here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series, Anitra Rowe Schulte. You can head on over to her official website, which we've included in the description below, in addition to staying connected with her via any of her social media platforms that you now see on screen. You can purchase your copy of Dancing with Daddy. Leave a 5-star review on Amazon if you feel guided to do so. It is one of the top empowering reads for 2021 through the Children's Book Spotlight Series, through Empowered Publicity as well. We want to thank all of you. As we hear the trolley, and the trolley's got, literally, it's got bells, whistles, lights, you name it. It's so sparkly this time of year. When we hear the trolley, that means that it's time to go. We want to thank all of you for your continued support of Empowered Publicity this year, for your continued support of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. It has been such a privilege, a blessing, and an honor, and a joy to be able to share these wonderful messages for the past 3 years that we've been doing so. We're looking forward to Trolley Stop number 138, episode number 138 and beyond. We want to thank all of you for your continued support of children's authors and illustrators such as Anitra. They are doing and providing a much needed service, much needed value for children, parents, families, educators, for those who love great children's books. We want to thank you for your continued support of local libraries and children's bookstores, as they are truly the pillars of our community. And of course, above all else, we want to thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world. Our favorite neighbor, Mr. Rogers, let's remember him one more time before we sing Auld Lang Syne, right? His way of saying I love you, he weighed 143 pounds for his entire natural adult life somehow. 143 was his way of communicating I love you. 1 letter in I, 4 letters in love, and 3 letters in you. He always reminded us each and every time on the neighborhood in his neighborly visits, he always reminded us that I like you just the way that you are, that you're loved and you're special just the way that you are. So as a final tip of the cap to our favorite neighbor, Mr. Rogers, we always like to say here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series 243, as Anitra was very kind to give us some of her free time here this week during this wonderful Christmas season, this holiday season, we remind all of you is there's 2 letters in we, 4 letters in love, and 3 letters in you, that we love you, that you are perfect, you are whole, you are healthy, you are complete, that you are loved, that you are special, that we acknowledge you, we see you, we understand you, we feel you, and we are with you, that we like you just the way that you are. So this has been great. This has been a wonderful Christmas gift to all of you, especially this holiday season. We hope that all of you, your loved ones, your neighbors, your family, your friends, have a safe and blessed holiday season. Be safe on the roads on New Year's Eve, of course, as well, too. And again, I am thoroughly looking forward to sharing what we've been working on behind the scenes for such a long period of time. January the 1st is going to be something very special, as is the entire year of 2022. But for Anitra Rowe Schulte, for myself, John Masiulionis, thank you very much for spending some time with us here on our Children's Book Spotlight Series Christmas special. Thank you once again for helping us to walk home the children of the world. Goodbye for now. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and have a blessed New Year. Thank you so much.